I'm Ashley Jones from Designs and Machine Embroidery, and welcome to this episode of our Software Success Live. So here on this live, we talk all things software, and today we're going to be talking about using a photograph to turn it into an embroidery design with Dime's Stitched Snapshot Plus. Now, this program is an amazing program that not only can stitch photographs, but I'm also going to show you how you can use it for your clip art type designs, the things that we usually use our regular digitizing for. But I just want to point out the difference, and I'll show you that so you get a completely different look with this program. Another thing I wanted to point out, if any of you guys attended an in-store event years ago, this was actually one of the free gifts, the Stitch Snapshot, not the Plus version, but the Stitch Snapshot was a free gift at those events years ago. So you may own this program and not even realize it. So if you haven't installed it, maybe after today you'd want to. So welcome everyone. I see a lot of people popping in and names that I recognize, and absolutely love seeing everybody. And I love seeing everybody each week and some of the same names popping up. So welcome. And if you haven't already, tell us over in the chat where you're viewing from. I love to hear. And so the first comment here, Laura Parks. So she said we were talking about keeping her fingers out of the hoop and the stitching area when I was doing a show with Reen Wilcox, and she wound up in the ER with a broken needle in her finger. So, oh, Laura, that sounds painful. I know sometimes we take for granted and we're paying attention to one thing and we're holding things out of the way. So I hope everything is okay with your finger, Laura. And so Linda Johnson, thanks for joining. So she says she's from Dallas and it's pretty hot, which I do know that's the case. You know, our home office is there, and it is pretty warm all over the country now. So we've got Colorado. Thanks for joining, Lorraine, and Harriet Ann Palmer. Thanks for joining. In Homestead, she's my neighbor here. I'm down in Key Largo, just a little bit south of her. We've got more from Colorado, Wyoming, Texas. Jennifer Alexander, thanks for joining from Northwest Tennessee. Jennifer's a frequent flyer, and she's doing a lot with our software. And Susie S., so happy Tuesday, Dime and Gang. I'm assuming she means the OML gang. So thank you so much for joining, Susie. Great to see you here. And then Linda Johnson said we all missed because we skipped 4th of July. Yes, we were off on the 4th of July, and so we didn't have software success. So I'm glad to be back with you guys this week. If you have not watched a software success before, we talk about software in these lives. You can ask me any questions. I usually use one piece of software each time we view, but the things that I show you will actually work in all of Dime's software unless it's a feature that's specific to that program. So by watching, you still get a lot of education on your software, even if you don't own the specific one that I am showing. So make sure that you are, joining every other week, or the first and the third Tuesday. Doesn't always wind up to be every other week. So because you'll learn so much about your Dime software programs here. So many people, thank you so much for joining. And as if you are new here, you can rewatch these broadcasts on our YouTube channel. Creative Appliques, hi Dawn, thank you so much for joining. And you can rewatch them. So if you've missed any of the episodes, it's definitely worth going back and watching. We try to make sure that you know and learn everything there is to about your software. So we're going to eventually get through all of the pieces of software, but then we will cycle back through them again and again and again. And so make sure that you are watching these presentations. So, and today, if you have a question, because there's so many comments that'll fly past and it's hard to read and talk at the same time, as you can imagine. And so if you have a question, if you'll put like 3 question marks before, that'll help me pick it out of the lineup. But I think we have people watching from all over. It's so great to see everyone here joining. I did see one question as I was scrolling past here about the PDF manual. So the manual is built into the software. And so when I head over there, I'll show you where to find it. It does open in a PDF, so you can print it. And I'll show you where to find that when I head over to the software today. And again, we're talking about stitching photographs, but when I show you about the manual, then you'll know that that's the same place for every dime software that we have. So you'll be able to find that. And I see that Amy is asking about the price. I'll share that with you later for the price of this, and you can purchase from our website. But I always encourage everyone here to check with your local dealer, because a lot of times they can make you a really good deal on one of our programs. So if they're a dime or an inspiration dealer, check with them and see what price that they could give you. So, hey, my friend Reen Wilcoxon, thanks for joining. Reen, always good to see you on here. And so, and love working and collaborating with Reen regularly. So yeah, people from all over. Okay, so I also want to remind you, if you are new to Software Success, I also want to share with you our education team and other ways that you can get help. So these Software Success are the first and the third Tuesday of every month, so certainly join here. But we also have an amazing education team that you can find over on our Facebook group. And we also, as you guys know, hold presentations. So Aine McCarthy, Lisa Knight, Tammy Madden, Laurie Albrecht, and Karen LaMandola. These ladies, including myself, is our education team here at Dime. And it is a well-rounded group. I tell you, if one of us doesn't know, the other one definitely knows and has experience. So we've learned a ton from each other over the years, and I know that you have learned a ton from them as well. Now, for education on your software, meeting me here on the first and the third Tuesday is always a great place to learn. But in between those sessions, if you go to Dime's website called inspiredbydime.com, so we have two different pages. Our dzgns.com page is for our products, and you can shop there. But the inspiredbydime.com is all software related, software program related. So if you go there and you click on the support option, and from the drop down menu, click the community forum, you'll see these options here. All of these little images are active links. So if you click on one of them, it will get you to the location of this particular information. So the first one being our Facebook group, our Dime Software User Facebook group is a great place to get questions answered. So if you have a question and it's in between these two Software Success lessons that you see me post, that's a great place to go, because at that Facebook group, Dime Inspiration Software Users, you will not only be able to reach me directly, but our entire education team is over there from time to time. They're not there all the time, but you can get an answer pretty quickly, because not only is our education team monitor that page, but all of the thousands of users that are really good with our Dime software can also help you. And the fact that everybody's all over the world, you might get an answer in the middle of the night when you're stitching at home, thinking everybody else is sleeping. The second link there is to our YouTube channel. So Dime has hundreds of hours of YouTube videos. Now, those videos do go back a lot of years. So some of them, when you're viewing them, the screen layout may look different than what yours does, but the workings of the icons and the features in the software are still going to be the same. So it's still worth watching, because some of those videos that are some of the older ones are extremely educational, but we're always adding new ones as well. So check out our YouTube channel. That's also where you can find the past episodes of the Software Success that you are attending today. But also every Thursday, Eileen does a live called Between Friends, and she will do a software little segment in there too. So both of our Facebook lives or our YouTube lives both have a little bit of information about your software. And then Eileen's blog. So she has been writing this blog for years, and there's lots of information on there about our software. You can just search the blog for one of the software types like My Block Piecer or Perfect Embroidery Pro, and anything that she's written a blog post about, will come up. And so that is written detail. We all learn different ways. Some of us like to learn from reading and then doing. Some of us like to watch a video. So we've got lots of different ways for you can learn here. And then the inspiration forum, that's a forum that you can log into. It was, well before the Facebook time, but it works similar where you create a login and then you can ask a question and you get answers from users. So that's just another place. I feel like the majority of the time people are using Facebook, but if you don't use Facebook, you certainly can log into that forum as well. And the other two options are paid options for education. And you may already have some of these if they came with a bundle that you have, but we have PDF tutorials. These are lessons written by Eileen Roach, and they will step you through a lot of times a project or a design creation. And again, we all learn in different ways. So that's a great way to learn if you're the type of person that likes to read and then do and maybe make notes. And so those lessons are great. And they are able to be purchased on our site. And for almost all of our pieces of software, we have lessons for. PDF lessons. And then that last one there, the 30-minute private lessons, if you guys did not know it, we have the ability to offer you a private tutoring session on our software. So if you click that, it takes you to the page where you can choose one of our education team members that teaches those lessons, and you schedule a time, and then you'll meet with that educator over Zoom on the time that you chose. And then you can ask any questions. She shares her screen, much like I'm doing right here when you see my software, so you can get specific answers. So if you've ever thought that private tutoring would be a way to help you learn your software, you can take advantage of that. $30 for 30 minutes. So it's really, really easy to do. Okay, so now our stitching our design today. So today we're talking about stitching a photograph. So we get this question quite often about people wanting to digitize a photograph. There's a difference in a photograph and like our clip art type designs that we digitize. And by clip art, some people call these illustrations, some people call them drawings, things like that. But a photograph generally has like millions of colors. You can see from that photograph of that butterfly all the different colors that make up the shading in that flower and the butterfly and the background that's kind of muted because it's blurred. Whereas the clip art design on the right, you can see that the color is uniform. There's not a lot of shading. The shading is specific to the areas of the butterfly, but it's not the same type of shading that we have in photographs where you've got millions of colors and pixels that make up that image. So when we're talking about digitizing a photograph, then most of the time people are asking about an actual photograph that they've taken of loved ones or some scenery and things like that. So that's really what this program Stitched Snapshot was designed to do. But you can use it to digitize clip art, but it gives you a different type of stitching, and I'm going to talk to you about that. So look at these two pictures. So that's the butterfly photograph that you saw in the previous slide, and look at the one on the left. That is digitized from our Perfect Embroidery Pro auto digitizer. Now that did a really impressive job. I tell you, when I actually did that, I was surprised myself. I can't lie. I didn't think it would look so clear. But what it's doing, you can see those hard edges of the shading, especially in the area of the green at the bottom right of the photograph, because it's having to put a fill stitch in each of those areas. And we don't have those layers of colors making the shading. Whereas the one on the right, that actually was generated by our Stitched Snapshot program that we're going to be seeing here in just a minute. And you can tell right away that there's more shading. You can see how the colors blend together in that bottom right in the green area. And it is much more like the original photograph with the shading. And so when you're using thread to do the shading, you don't want those hard edges. And so this program is doing the work for you. Now, this is the original intention of this program, is to take a photograph and turn it into an embroidery design that gives you that shading. But that doesn't mean that you're only allowed to use a photograph. You can use that clip art design that we just saw the picture of, but look at the difference in what you get. I just want you to understand by using this program what's going to happen. So on the left, that is a design that was used in our Perfect Embroidery Pro auto digitizer. So I select the image, it converts it to an embroidery. So that's what you're accustomed to seeing whenever you would select an embroidery design. It's got those fill stitches, that tatami fill that we're used to seeing in a lot of our designs. Got some satin areas as well in those in this design, but not a lot of shading, so it came through really nicely with our regular type embroidery stitches. But on the right, I used the same image and I brought it into Stitch Snapshot, but you can tell, even though you can't see it close up, but I'm going to show you in the software here in a moment, that it has a different type of stitching. It's the same type of stitching that can give us the shading that we need for a photograph. But in this case, we didn't have a lot of shading. So it's really just a reduction in the number of colors and just a solid color, but that same type of stitching. So hopefully that makes sense. So I'm going to head over to my software and let's see it in action. And then this may spawn some more questions for you. Okay, so before we get started with the Stitch Snapshot, let me talk about the PDF that the question was asked. So to find your user manual for any of your software, if you go to this shopping cart area here at the bottom right where my cursor is blinking, it will list all of Dime's software. Now, yours may not all have the check mark. If you have a check mark, that means that you own this program and it is activated on your computer. So you can see all of mine are check marks. So if I wanted to see the user manual for any of these, I would click this ... options and it says manual. So when you click manual, I'm going to just do the one for Perfect Embroidery Pro here. It opens it up. Now yours may say, let me open this up big. Yours may say that I need to download a current version, but it does open up the user manual in Adobe Acrobat Reader. And so we don't need to do an update, huh? And so from here, I could actually print this out if I wanted. You could print it on your regular home printer. You could take it to a print shop. You could save the PDF, take it to a print shop. And I have known people have this bound, with like the little comb binder at the, like the Kinko's or something like that. That's a great way to do it. So when we add updates to this, you may see that message that says you need to download the new version when you click it. Let me see if it'll do one here. So see here, I did the Word Art and Stitches. I haven't downloaded the Word Art and Stitches. It says the manual file needs to be updated. So do I want to download it? And then I just say yes, and you just wait a few minutes and it will open up automatically. So just while that's thinking, you just hang out, do something else, think about what you're doing, but it usually doesn't take a ton of time. And then it'll open up the PDF for that particular software. So for any Dime software, if you click the options button here next to the software that you want to see the manual for, and then choose manual from the drop down, then it's going to give you the manual for that exact piece of software. And you can see here it's telling me it's almost done. So, and there we go. And it opened up my manual for Word Art and Stitches. Okay. And from here, I could save it, I could print it, whatever you like. Okay, so that's how you're going to find the user manual for each of these pieces. Also, under this options button, if you see whenever you click that, it says tutorials. So if you click that, it'll take you to our YouTube channel and it will link to any tutorials that we have on that piece of software that you selected. So today I am using Stitched Snapshot Plus, and we also have one called Stitched Snapshot. That one was the free version that we gave away years ago at, it was a gift at an event. And so if you have that version, you can do what we're talking about today, minus the frames. Okay. So now let's go and start and see how we can do this. Now, to digitize a photograph with Stitch Snapshot, it is so easy. You're just going to click this option in the top left and browse for an image. So when you click the browse option, it'll allow you to select a photograph. Now I'm going to go to this images folder. So if you go to See Dime Images, then we actually have some images that are labeled Stitch Snapshot Plus if you own this program, or if you don't own Stitch Snapshot Plus, in this images folder, you'll also just see some images here that you can play with. So any of these you can select and then it will digitize it. So let's do this butterfly that you just saw. I want to select something built in so you can duplicate what we're doing today. So the butterfly, and I'm going to click open, and it brings it on the screen. Now let's just don't make any changes here. And I'm just going to click show and hide. And look at that. So just those 3 steps, guys, we converted that image to a digitized embroidery design. Now, you do have 2 different types of stitching, which we're going to talk about in a bit, but I just wanted to go through this process one time so you can see the process. So I'm going to say okay, and it will add that to my workspace, and look at that. So it takes 13 different colors to stitch out this design, which is actually pretty minimal compared to some programs. They'll have many more colors and you can adjust that. But take a look at this type of stitching. In order to get this shading, I'm going to use my slow redraw, which is a feature that's in every Dime software that will show you your design stitch out on the screen. Look at that type of stitching. That's not your normal fill stitch. It is what we call a stippling stitch that is using a kind of a layering technique to create those shaded areas, especially down here in the bottom area. So you've got several different colors of green and browns blended together to create that shading. So isn't that cool? So this is ready to save. So if I want to stitch this photograph just as it is, you would simply choose File, Save As, and then choose the location on your computer where you want to save this. And then don't forget to choose your embroidery machine format. From this drop-down list, you can see that I have all of my embroidery machine formats selected or listed. I can select my format and give it a name, and then it's ready to be transferred to my embroidery machine for stitch out. So then I would just click the save option, and then it's going to save that embroidery design. I can take it to my embroidery machine to stitch it. And I've got my color palette here. Now, something that you might want to do here, because these colors are specifically going to give you this shading. So a lot of times, you guys know, with your regular embroidery, we just put whatever color we want wherever, and we don't really have to be specific on which color we choose. We can switch them out. But there's a lot of shading going on, so I definitely would try to get something as close to these as possible. So if you go to your print option, you can print the color list. So under your settings, now what I'm about to show you, let me go back here. This is actually a feature that we have in every Dime software. Even our free embroidery tool shed can print. So when you click the print icon, it will allow you to print a full-size image if you need it. And in this case, we don't necessarily need it. But under the settings options, under the print, we have all of these check boxes here. So I can check the color analysis, and it's going to give me the list of colors that we needed. And I'm going to actually uncheck these others because I don't need the design to print. I would just need my color analysis to print here. And so let me go here, and for some reason it is not coming up. So hang on one second here. So here's my settings. So let's go back and put that on the screen. It keeps popping over to my other screen. Sorry. And then there we go. There's my color analysis. So every time I would change a setting, this is moving to my other screen. You probably won't have that issue unless you are having 2 screens connected, but it wants to go to my primary monitor, but yours will pop up right here in front of you. Okay. So you can see I have the color analysis turned on, and it is telling me, if I zoom in here, it's telling me the color, the length of thread that I need, which is actually pretty impressive, right? And then this color number 20 is our exquisite number for black. Number 117 is this greyhound color. And you can change this. If you own a different thread palette, you can do that. But it's very important to have pretty much the exact colors to get that shading. This is the one time where it's really going to make that difference. So remember, go into your settings, choose that color analysis. And then I do have my stitches still turned on here. And there you go. It popped to my other screen again. So I just went to page number 2 by clicking this next page button. And there's my color analysis. When you click print, you do not have to print this page. So you could just tell your printer, just print page 2, and you get that color analysis. Okay. And there's other settings in here for your print that you certainly could play around with that work great for your regular embroidery projects as well, not just this one. Okay, so let's go back to this and let's do another one and let's adjust some of the settings that are on the screen here. So I'll do one more and then I will we'll answer some questions after that. So if you've got questions, make sure you're asking them over there. So let's see one more and then we'll answer some questions and then we'll go back and do some other things. Okay, so remember, let me go back. Sometimes I talk quicker and don't say what I'm clicking. So to get started with Stitch Snapshot, you're going to click this first icon that gets started by selecting the photograph. And then under the open image, you have the option to browse, or you can actually take a photograph right here in the software, which I'll show you in just a bit. But let's browse for another one. And for this one, I'm going to go to a photograph that is from a vacation that my husband and I took. So we went to Arches in Utah. If you haven't been there, highly recommend it. But those little people right there, that's me and my husband, which you can't make out. But it's really the scenery that I want. Okay, so now we can change the size. So right now, this is set to embroider a design that's going to be 6.5 inches by 8 and 0.66. If you wanted this to say be a a 8.5 by 11, you could enter those measurements. Of course, if you don't keep this proportional, it's going to distort, but you certainly could put in 11 and let it do the adjusting there. And we have the option to change it from a color image to a gray or like black and white, sepia, CMYK, a color, and this edge and mono are a black and white, and you can see it's adjustment in the contrast. So you can see I've got the ability to change my contrast here. I'm going to go back to the color so we can see that, and I can adjust the brightness or the contrast here. So you can adjust this slider to get more or less contrast. And I actually will show you something on another image here that sometimes that contrast can actually make that picture look a little bit more variation so that it shows up better on the stitches. Now notice here I've got the max color number 16. I can increase that or I can reduce it. If you've got a multi-needle machine out there that's a 10 or 15 needle and you don't want to go over that number, you can actually just put in that number. Now, don't forget, you're reducing the number of colors for the shading, so it may not be as detailed. So just keep that in mind, but you can always go back and adjust it. The mask is a shape. So you can choose an ellipse or a heart shape. Let's see if it'll show up on here. So you can kind of see that there. And so it makes a heart shape right on the image. I'm going to just go back to our regular rectangle. And then the stitching style type. Now, the last one that I showed you was the stippling, but we also have this hatching, which is the one I'm going to use for this image. And it kind of looks like a sketchy type stitch, and you'll see what I mean. So you have the resolution, and I highly recommend choosing your primary thread palette, because remember, stitching a photograph, you definitely want to have those colors almost identical to what it tells you to get that type of shading. So if you use mostly, a Brother or an Isocord thread or our Exquisite, make sure you're choosing that thread line. So I'm going to leave it my Exquisite because that's what I use. And then I'm going to click the show hide button and look at this image, what it does. So again, this is one of my photographs, not one of the built-in photographs, but look how gorgeous. I just love how that turned out. So I'm going to say, if I like it, I can just say, okay, and it'll add it to the screen. If you don't like it and you want to change it, just click the show hide. It toggles between the image and the embroidery. You can make any changes, and then let's see what this looks like in stippling and show that again. So let it generate and see what that looks like. And I'm gonna actually ultimately go back to the, oh, I think that actually turned out really nicely too. But I do really love that look of the hatching. So I'm gonna go back. And then I want to show you what that looks like when you stitch it out on the screen, or when you do the slow redraw on the screen. So after it generates, I'm going to say, okay. And then it adds it to my workspace here. And now let's watch that stitch out. So I'm going to use my slow redraw, and then I'm going to just drag this slider so it goes quicker. But look at this type of stitching. Same thing. It's not heavy, dense fills, but it's not that stippling kind of effect. It's more like straight lines, almost like scribble. I don't know how else to describe it, but you certainly can play with it and see exactly what it does. But I think that turned out super cute. Now, you can't make out the people in the image, which wasn't the point in the first place. It's this beautiful scenery that we have here. And then again, you would just simply save this and take it to your embroidery machine and look at my colors. So this actually has 15 colors. I set 16 at the max, and it has 15 for the colors to get this proper shading. So isn't that cool? I love that. So easy to do. Okay, let's see if we have any questions before I show you. I've got a couple more things that I want to show you that you can do. So let's just look at some of our questions here. So I'll start at the end and then I'll go backwards. So Linda says, I bought Pep and Word Art several years ago. Congratulations on that. You said something about Stitch Snapshot probably came with it. It did not come with it. That's not what I said. At one of our Dime in-store events, it was a free gift for attending the event. So you had to attend that particular event. And you probably got Stitch Snapshot when you attended the event. It was a free gift. So to find that, you would need to have the original serial number. So if you haven't registered it, we have no way of tracking it. So if you got that card in a gift bag and you tossed it, we have no way of knowing that. You would have had to have registered it in order to get that. So, but it did not come automatically with the purchase of a software. It was actually a free gift for attending the event. So, so definitely look back if you've got some old stuff lying around. Maybe it's there somewhere. So it'd be a nice little find. So, okay. So Southern Belle Blessed, I love that name, is this software that you have purchased in order to embroider photo? Yes. So this is Dime Stitched Snapshot Plus. It is a separate purchase than all of our other Dime programs. So you may already own it, or like I said, you may own the Stitched Snapshot version, which will do exactly what we're doing. So if you own Stitched Snapshot or Stitch Snapshot Plus, you can do what I've already shown here so far. They both will do this, and I'll show you the difference of them coming up next. And then I'll show you the price of that as well. Also, and then Pamela Mitchell says, with 85,000 stitches, you'll be stitching a while. You are correct, but I will tell you that that's probably fewer stitches than some other brands. I've stitched out some photos that were, like 300,000 stitches to get that kind of shading. So, and then Terry, love the question marks, Terry. Those bright red little question marks are perfect. So does it matter how many pixels the pictures have for the end result? Yes, the clearer the picture, then the better you're going to get from the stitch out. So if you do have a higher resolution picture, then you're going to get more detail in the actual stitches. But I will tell you, so the pictures that I use, so this one of the arch that you saw me do, the delicate arch from Utah, that was a picture that I just took on my phone. So, and it still did really well. The pictures that are built in to give you the ability to play around with the software, those are definitely high resolution pictures, but your photos will work just great. In fact, that's what Anne Augustine says. Does it work for iPhotos? Yes. And that arch is from my own personal phone, and it is a photograph that I took with my iPhone. Yeah. And so works great. And that was actually probably the previous model, because that was a few years ago. And so every time we get new models, those get really, the cameras get so much better every single time. So and Jan says, does the white show up in the stitched item? Yes. So unless you have a background that you remove, the white does come in this program, because since it is a photo stitch, it takes in all of the colors, even the white. It doesn't make the white act like a background like it does in some auto digitizing software. So really good question, Jan. And then Robin says, is it just me, or has anyone else lost Ashley talking? I hope it's not anybody else. Is anybody else having audio issues? And Robin, is it working now? So hopefully it's still working, and hopefully you haven't lost me. And if it was just a blimp in yours, if you watch the replay, the audio should be good. So make sure you watch the replay if you feel like you missed something, Robin. So hopefully everything's good audio wise. I was just looking back here. So hey, Ain, you guys know Ain. She's one of our educators. Thank you for joining. So you guys have probably seen her. So she's part of our education team, as you guys know, and a fabulous presenter. Sample's always phenomenal. And so Walk by Faith says, can this program be used standalone? Yes, every dime program is standalone. You do not need any other program to make it work. It does install inside of our embroidery tool shed, but that's not considered, you don't have to purchase a separate program. It does that all automatically for you. So just so that you are aware. And so I'm just looking back here to see if we see anything else. I think I've got them for now. If you've got questions, put them in and I will look back again in just a bit. So very good questions, everybody. Okay, so now I'm going to head over to the software again, and let's do a couple of different things. So I'm going to start a new page, and let's go back in. Every single time you use this program, you are going to click this icon to get started, or you're going to click the photo frame. But let me go back and answer a question over here. So take a look down here in my shopping cart area again. So remember all of these little option buttons here. If you do not own Stitched Snapshot, you can try it. So if you click in your embroidery tool shed, this dot, dot, dot right next to one of the programs that you do not own, it will have a try option right here. Now mine does not because I already own them, but you can click try and it will let you play with the software before making a purchase. Okay, so now let's go back and do another picture. So I'm going to start my Stitch Snapshot again. And for this one, I'm going to do browse. And instead of a photograph, let's do one of those clip art designs. So I'm going to go back to the C dime images. So if you want to play with this same design, I'll be using, one that you have built in. So let's do this butterfly again. Any of these clip arts here will work just fine, but I just want to show you that it'll still do this, and then this will answer, I think it was Jan's question about the white background as well. Okay, so I bring in my image of my butterfly, and then I'm going to leave all of the settings as is, and I'm going to, let's just do the stippling again, and I'm going to do show hide. And then you can see that it converted it, and I'm going to say okay. And actually that one had a transparent background, so you can see I didn't get any of the background come through here. But take a look at this. Instead of this being a fill stitch design, it is that stippling. So if we watch the slow redraw here, you can see that I'm still getting that stippling effect, but it's not so many colors because it's not a photograph. So it still will digitize a clip art type design. You're just not going to get the look of that regular fill embroidery unless you have another one of the dime programs that allow you to do that. Our Perfect Embroidery Pro will digitize. So I just wanted to show the difference there. And so let me start a new page here, and then let's just talk about these frames. So the frames, photo frames, when you click on that icon, these, and click on the open, these are frames that you can select that will be embroidered around a design. So for instance, let's see here what we've got for these different ones. So these cute little frames, you can choose and then customize the name. Let's just do this, maybe this regular one here might be good. So you can see this frame is just an embroidered stitch around the edge, and it says put a name here. So let's say we were going to do an image of a maybe a baby picture or something like that, and maybe you want that name there. So I'm going to say let's do a name here. So I'm just going to do Zoe and click apply, and it changes the name there. Okay, and then for this circle, the image is going to go right there. So instead of going through the regular photo stitch, you want to use this photo change option, and it will then open up our Stitched Snapshot wizard, and we can browse for our photo. And for this one, I'm going to use this cute little baby feet here. Look how adorable that. So mom and dad's hands and the baby feet. Now, this is one place where I definitely would probably use this contrast because the background is light. If we adjust the contrast here so that it really shows a difference in the skin tones versus the background, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. So then I'm going to do stippling and I'm going to say show hide. And look how cute. And I'm going to say, okay, now close up, it's not as noticeable, but you can see whenever you stand back a little bit because you have to be a little further away to see that detail. And then I'm going to say, okay. And look at that. Isn't that cute? And so now it's got this little frame around it with this name under it and the picture in the center. So you can either click on the regular wizard or the frames. And when you click on the frames and you click open, it gives you quite a few frames to choose from. And it puts your image right in that frame. So for instance, this cute one of the little dog here. Again, if you click change, browse, and then there's a really cute little puppy picture here in the Stitched Snapshot Plus. How adorable, right? And then show hide, click OK, and you can see that it adds it in there. So you can use the frames or without a frame, whichever you prefer. Now, if you have the free version, the Stitched Snapshot that we gave away years ago, we no longer have that for free. It was given away at an event, but if you have Stitched Snapshot, then you don't have the frames, but that is the only difference in the two. So one last thing that I want to show you. So if you have questions, make sure you're asking and I'll show you one more thing. So Stitch Snapshot is super easy. So there's not like a ton of extra stuff that you can do in here. But as you know, all of our features work the same. And so let's go back into the Stitch Snapshot. And then I want to show you the photograph. So here you can browse for an image or you can take a picture. So if you click this option here, I actually have several cameras connected to my computer, and I'm going to choose my overhead camera. And you can see I've got a piece of paper here, and I'm going to write my name. And I want to show you that, like, if you have kids' drawings or something, let me see if I can get this to actually clear up. So it's zoomed. It's not like super clear. I'm trying to give it to focus here. So maybe it'll focus as I start writing. But this is just a white sheet of paper. And I'm going to just write my name. So if you've got kids' drawings or somebody has a signature that you want to digitize, you can certainly do that. And maybe I'll do like a little heart. I don't sign my name like that, but that's pretty cute. But that is my signature there. And then I'm going to bring this up and see if I can get it to focus. And then I can go back down. Now, this focusing part is my camera. That's not you. And so I'm just trying to get that to focus. And then let me zoom in here and see if that'll help. It is not focusing. I just did this and it did just fine. But it is not wanting to focus. There we go. Finally, right? Gotta love technology. So I'm going to just move it around until I get it in my picture here, all on the screen. Okay. And then I am going to take a snapshot of that. Okay. So that's my signature. You can see my hand there. I don't want to take that picture. So I'm just going to click this button to take a picture of that item. So essentially it's just like taking a picture with your phone, but I didn't have to connect it and import it in. This just does it all in one step. Okay. So now that's got that background that we probably aren't going to want. We probably just want the signature. And so here I can change that. You know, if you can leave it in color and you can do gray or whatever you want. But I do want to point out, notice this mono, it literally has max 2 colors. And so it's really just going to do, you know, everything a close color, and I can't separate them. So I'm actually going to leave this color, even though it's really black and white. And then we can look and see if we need to adjust our contrast at all. I think that looks pretty good. I can even brighten it up if I need to, or darken it. I'm going to make it a little bit darker there so it picks up. And then I'm going to do our show hide again. And now this one, since it does have the background, I'll show you how to remove that. So if I click OK, it puts that on the screen. There's my signature, but I don't want all that background. But this is actually a really good example of shading. Look, if I watch my slow redraw, that was white paper, but because of the shadow, it's using several colors of gray to make that variation in the color. So isn't that cool? I just love that. Technology is so fascinating. But over here in my sequence view, now this actually works the same way no matter which dime program you have. If you have a design on the screen that you want to delete parts of the colors, you can ungroup it and then you can delete from the sequence view here. So I'm going to choose my ungroup option here at the top, and you can see it breaks it up. So now I'm just going to click on these background colors. If I hover over it, I can tell that that's the background stitches. And I highlight it, I press the delete on my keyboard, and it's removing that. So here I'm going to delete that one, delete this bottom one here, which is that top shading, and then the bottom part here and here and there. And all I am left with is my name. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Now, again, don't forget, I know somebody out there is thinking, oh, I want that in a satin or a fill stitch. You can do that with our Perfect Embroidery Pro, but this particular program that I'm showing you today only has these types of stitching where it's this stippling or that hatching, because it's meant for a photograph, only I'm using it for something completely different. So isn't that cool? I just love that. Okay, so let's see if we have any questions. So yes, so the question here from Nancy Taylor. So, hey, Nancy. So she's asking about, oh, I missed it. I've got the wrong one. So sorry. So she said that she was on the the block piecer video. Sorry. And so Tracy Edwards says about the CYMK colors. So those are color numbers. And it's kind of like, do you know hex and RBG? Like, it's not just RGB is not just 3 colors, it's a color code for the amount of red, the amount of green, and the amount of blue that's in that particular color. And those colors numbers would give you that exact color. So the CYMK is the same kind of thing. I just don't remember. It's the cyan, yellow, magenta, and I think K is maybe the black. But it's the color combination of those numbers. It's not just those 4 colors. So hopefully that makes sense to you. So, and let's see if we have any other questions here. So Jennifer Alexander says, I'm thinking, don't forget about your hoop size. Yes. So you can certainly set this to fit in your hoop size, whatever one you're working with. And then also you can set the size, right in the wizard. So yeah, make sure it does fit in your hoop, obviously. Good point, Jennifer. And then Jan says, would the name have a ton of tie-off? So actually this technique, since it's like stippling, it's almost like really tight quilting. So that stitch just runs. It doesn't have like a ton of tie-off stitches in it. You can always turn your commands on in your software. Over to the left-hand side, you have that option to turn your commands off and on, and that'll tell you how many stitches are in that particular design. So, but this is kind of like, think of it as like quilting, where it's just kind of doing that one layer and it's trying not to stop and tie off if it can. So it's just continuing on in like a forward run motion. So good question. So, okay. Any other questions on Stitched Snapshot? And I answered Tracy's question. So we talked about Linda's question. So I think that was the last one that we had. So, okay. So a few more things before we are done here. Let me head over. I want to remind you that to be notified for these Software Success and also our Between Friends Facebook. So you definitely want to make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also like us on Facebook, and then you'll get notifications if you make sure your notifications are turned on when we do these Facebook Lives. But of course, remember, you can rewatch these on our YouTube channel, all the past live videos. But if you're unsure how to subscribe or like us on Facebook, take a look at this short video of how to do that.
In this video, we'll show you how to subscribe to a YouTube channel and follow a Facebook page. Let's start with YouTube. First, open your web browser and navigate to youtube.com. Once you're on your home page, search for Designs in Machine Embroidery in the search bar at the top of the screen. Click on it and go to the channel page. Once on the channel page, click the subscribe button. And that's it. You're now subscribed to the channel. Now, let's move on to Facebook. Once you're on your home page, search for Designs in Machine Embroidery in the search bar at the top of the screen. When you find the page you want to follow, click on it and go to the page. Once on the page, click the three dots on the right side and select the follow button. And that's it. Now you're following the page. Thanks for watching.
Super easy. So Stitch Snapshot Plus is $199.99. So if you like what you saw, you don't own this program and you want to stitch your photographs, you certainly can purchase that. It is an instant download from our website. So if you do purchase that over at DZGNS, you'll get that right away as soon as you're done checking out. But I do urge you to always check with your local dealer that is a dime dealer, because I can guarantee you they could make a better price on any of these programs. So check with them and support your local dealer. And then in a couple of weeks from now, actually, do we have 5 weeks in August? We might. So, but in July, but August the 1st, that's our next Software Success. It's always on the 1st and the 3rd Tuesday of the month. So August the 1st is our next Software Success. I'm going to be talking about the program Patch and Applique Maker. So that is a software program that allows you to easily make patches that can be stitched on your embroidery machine and also convert to applique. So you can do both of those things. So we're going to talk about creating a patch, talk about how you can use a design that you already own and turn it into a patch if you want. And also there are built-in patches that you can just simply customize. So if you feel like you don't want to create your own because you're worried about it might be too complicated, which is actually pretty easy, but there are patches that are built in that you can just simply customize with the wizard and then save them and you're ready to stitch. So that's what's coming up on August the 1st for the next Software Success. So make sure you join me then. So I don't see any other questions popping up on Stitched Snapshot. So I will say goodbye for now and thank you all for being here, and we'll see you on August the 1st.